Alright, so thank you for tuning in to Chop Out the Business, episode number 97. And this episode, I know there's been a little bit of a break. Once again, sorry about that. But I tried. It's okay. Let's rewind real quick. Last episode I did, you may remember, I did my first round mock draft. I tried to do an episode for rounds 2 and 3 and the rest of the draft, but the audio wasn't that great, so whatever it is, we're here now. So instead, what I'm going to do is just take a look at the draft one last time, and I guess give you the picks that I liked, some that had me scratching my head, and some that I think may be perfect picks. So we'll do that, put a bow on the draft once and for all. That way we can move ahead, because if you don't know, well, Wednesday night at 8 is schedule release time. I believe you can watch that on, let's say, ESPN. I want to say NFL Network, maybe ABC. I don't know, but I think you can watch it on Amazon Prime as well, since Amazon and NFL, are now partners basically, because they signed a deal a couple of weeks ago to bring, more NFL programming to Amazon and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think you can watch it there as well. But anyway, so they're going to do schedule release. The next episode, I'm going to record after that, of course, and give you the, games and the dates that I'm going to circle on my calendar as big games that I would need to watch. And I'll let you know my thoughts about all that. And then I guess after that, we'll probably table NFL talk for a little bit. Unless something big happens, then of course I'll have to talk about it. But we will jump into, NBA mode, because the playoffs, the play-in tournament starts next week. And then playoffs start, I think, next weekend. So definitely be talking about that. And I also want to talk about some NHL playoffs as well. Haven't talked a lot of NHL on here, and I think I've said on here before, but I do watch NHL because I've got to admit it is pretty entertaining. Plus I'm from Boston, so hockey was big up there, so watched up there. Continue to watch the Bruins down here. So, and for those of you who don't watch hockey, I guess before the playoffs start, I'll give you reasons why, if you don't watch hockey, you should. I'll do that for you guys. And then I guess I'll try to guess how I believe the NHL playoffs will go and pick a Stanley Cup champion. I'll do the same in the NBA. And then we'll kind of, ride out NBA, NHL for a little bit. And touch on some MLB as well. Like I said, NFL, after these next couple of episodes, we'll be done with it for a little bit. I will come back to it every once in a while. So, say all that. Just to say, thanks for tuning in. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead, give you my review of the draft. And, yeah, get you ready for schedule release. So once the schedule release comes out, now we can really start getting ready for next NFL season, which I'm excited for. I think there's going to be a lot of storylines to, watch and cover and all that. So definitely happy for that. But yeah, so hopefully you guys are doing well, and hopefully you'll enjoy this episode. Wherever you are listening to this, you can go ahead, hit like, subscribe. You can leave a review, whatever. Follow. If you want to follow me on Twitter, at Chompin' Podcast. And as I've said before, I've become more active on Twitter, so definitely worth a follow. So, let's go ahead and get into this NFL draft. So, first round, I remembered I talked about how I didn't think. Well, so my quarterback ranking, basically the quarterbacks went in the order I thought, except for. Let's see. We had Trevor Lawrence go number 1 overall. Everybody knew that. I mean, Jacksonville basically let that be known once they knew they were getting the first pick overall. Plus, we all knew Trevor Lawrence was going to be the number 1 pick, so nothing weird there. Zach Wilson went number 2 to the Jets. We all knew that. That was a foregone conclusion. And then after that, the draft really started. And 3, which, if you remember when I was doing the mock draft, I penciled in Mac Jones because all the reports were supposedly that's who they were going with, even though I didn't really believe it. But I thought the Niners were moved up to 3 to take Pitts. They didn't. They took Trey Lance, which surprised some. For me, I guess I understand because, they have Garoppolo there still. So drafting Lance, who's probably a year away, makes it so that Garoppolo can play this year. If he does well, fine. If not, then Lance, I guess, will be ready for the following year. Then after that, we didn't have another quarterback taken until 11 when the Bears moved up from, I think, 20 or something to 11 to take Justin Fields. And great move for them because they needed a quarterback for sure. And sitting at 20 with only Fields and Mac Jones left on the board, they couldn't take the chance because, you knew the Patriots at 15 may take a quarterback. But even after that, you had Washington at 19, who most likely would have taken a quarterback there. So Chicago jumped up to take Fields, which left Mac Jones on the board for the Patriots at 15. And because, like I said, Patriots fan, for me, I like the pick. I got to admit I was a little shocked that the Patriots even took him there because my thought was they were going to take a quarterback like the second or third round, go with, like a linebacker or something here in the first round, but Jones was there. They took him. And, his best attribute is what Bill Belichick loves the most, accuracy. So, seems like a good fit there. Now, the question is, will he start next year or spend the year sitting behind Cam? We'll have to see. But that was it for the quarterbacks in the first round. Then Falcons at 4. I know that was a interesting pick that people were looking at. I knew they were going to take Pitts, the tight end out of Florida. I thought that they may take, one of the corners there or something like that because they need secondary help. But, Pitts is a guy who plays tight end. Well, he lines up at tight end, plays like a wide receiver. So, that combination is a little too good to pass up for Atlanta. So I understand why they took him. Once again, I kind of wish they went defense, but I get it. So if they do move on from Julio at some point, maybe trade deadline or before the season, at least you have another weapon there who can kind of replace him with Ridley and Hurst and the guys there. So if not, you'll have Ridley and Jones on the outside, and then you'll have Hurst, Pitts down the middle of the field. So plenty of options for Matt Ryan. And I guess we'll just go into it hoping that maybe with a different voice on the staff, maybe the defense can play up a little better. But clearly going to lean on the offense. So after that, I went back-to-back on wide receiver. I know I talked about wide receiver before the draft. as there are a few dynamic ones who I thought would go early, and 3 wide receivers went in the top 10. I thought Waddle was going to be the first one to go, but Cincinnati on the clock at 5. You already had Joe Burrow. So Jamar Chase goes there because they had that connection from LSU. I thought the Bengals were going to go offensive line because, Joe Burrow literally just got hurt and was scrambling for his life even before that. So I thought they'd go with one of the big tackles there, but they went wide receiver, which I understand. They lost A.J. Green. A.J. Green had been hurt anyway, but now they replaced him with Jamar Chase. So with the connection with Burrow, could be dynamic. Maybe with Chase, they try to go with a quick passing offense just to get the ball in his hand. Maybe they do that to protect him a little bit. But like I said, I thought they were going to go tackle. They went with Chase. So once that happened, the Dolphins went Waddle, where I believe that's what I had going there because I thought Waddle was going to be the first one off the board. And with the Dolphins, they've committed to Tua, but you have to give Tua wide receivers to really show whether or not he can play. So I like the Waddle pick. Waddle was my favorite wide receiver. He's dynamic in the receiving with the kick return and punt return game, which makes him more valuable. And then as a wide receiver, he's dynamic as well. Some questions about the ankle injury and how if he'll lose a step or not. We'll have to see once the season starts. But yeah, and then 10 was Devontae Smith. So that was kind of your big 3 in the wide receiver ranks. He goes to the Eagles. Eagles always need wide receiver help. They've moved on from Carson Wentz. They're now, I guess, the Jalen Hurts era. Although we'll have to see, how much wiggle room they give him to make the mistakes that he's going to obviously make his first full year as the starter. But getting Devontae Smith, Heisman Trophy winner. That's a good first step. Gives them a primary weapon on the outside. And then now they can put the other pieces of that offense together. Hopefully, get some more out of the defense. And who knows? In that division, maybe the Eagles can make some noise and win it. We'll see. Like I said, Justin Fields went 11. Mac Jones went 15. The Broncos were a team that many thought would take a quarterback. They ended up going corner and took Pat Surtain II, who was the second corner off the board because the pick before them with Carolina, J.C. Horn went. And then after the draft, I guess we kind of understood why they didn't go for quarterback, because supposedly Denver is in on the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes. I know I talked about that in a couple episodes before, how Aaron is, I guess, displeased with Green Bay right now. Don't know if the team's going to, move him because he's, grumpy or whatever you want to call him. So definitely something to watch out for the rest of the offseason. See if he does start the season in Green Bay or if he's somewhere else. Reports are he wants to be out west. So, Denver's in play. The Raiders are in play. There's even some talk of like Aaron Rodgers for Russell Wilson swap. I don't see that happening. And maybe the Niners are in play. I don't know. We'll have to see. So I think he's going to be in Green Bay. I think this is all just a show for him to, get something out of them. We'll see. Other picks. Cowboys surprisingly moved down to 12 because they originally had the 10th pick. They moved to 12. They took Micah Parsons there. And Parsons has, I don't want to call him like red flags, but that's the word the NFL uses, so we'll say he has small red flags. based off maturity and all this kind of stuff. He had some little issues at Penn State with like harassment or hazing or something like that. But I mean, it's NFL now. We'll have to see. I'm sure he should be fine. I mean, apparently that's the guy Dallas wanted. They moved down a couple spots to get him. So, I mean, it's fitting because Shawn Lee retired. I mean, he was oft injured, but he was a big part of their linebacking core. But once he retired, linebacker was a big need. They took the, I guess, consensus number one linebacker in Parsons. So, seems like a good pick for them. Chargers went tackle Rashawn Slater. Makes sense. You have Justin Herbert. Build up the line and give him more time. He's not the most mobile guy. So you keep him upright. He can make plays with his arm as he's shown last year. So I thought that was a really good pick for them. Jets with their second pick took the guard out of USC, Vera Tucker. I mean, they got Zach Wilson at number 2. Gave him an offensive lineman at 14. Smart there. So, 2 good picks for the Jets. I already talked about Mac Jones. I guess the real question of round 1 was the Raiders taking Alex Leatherwood, tackle out of Alabama. Most people thought he was going to go in the second round, but the Raiders took him middle of the first round. I mean, it's not even like they traded down to take him or something like that. They sat there at 17 and took him. So, interesting to see how his rookie season goes. I mean, if you're going to be picked in the middle of the first round, you have to come in and you have to be pretty dynamic. We'll have to see if he lives up to it. I mean, if he's a guy who struggles, then that's really going to look bad on Gruden and Mayock and those guys over with the Raiders, because there was plenty of names on the board there, but they went tackle. So see how that works out for them. Other picks in the first round. So I did talk about running backs. I did not think running back was going to go in the first round. I mean, I did name 2 guys who one did. It would have been Najee Harris at Alabama or Travis Etienne, Clemson. But I guess for 2021, the draft was going to be unpredictable. Both of them got in the first round. Harris went to the Steelers in 24, which I guess makes sense because the Steelers do need a running back, especially with Big Ben. You know, his skills are eroding year by year. What's the running back that was there? The guy out of Pitt. Like, his name is like right there in front of my head. James Conner. I think he left at free agency, I want to say. So Harris would automatically be the day 1 starter there. And we saw him in Alabama. For a big guy, at least that's what he looks on TV. Very agile. He jumps over defenders. He can run past defenders. He can run them over. So I think he'll play well in Pittsburgh. But we'll have to see if he can take some pressure off Big Ben, because that's going to be the biggest thing for them. And then Jacksonville, with their second first-round pick, took Etienne, the pick right after. Which, I mean, you got Trevor Lawrence. You bring in his running back, Etienne, at 25. Urban Meyer is... I mean, I guess we can see what Urban Meyer is doing down there. You know, he got his quarterback, and Trevor Lawrence. Etienne is a guy who can be kind of like Percy Harvin, who Urban Meyer had when he was at Florida. And Percy Harvin was a guy who would catch passes as a wide receiver. They would line him up in backfield and run the ball with him sometimes. He was a kick returner. He was a punt returner. He did all that. Etienne can do all that as well. So maybe that's his vision for that. And then post-draft, I guess as of this week, it looks like Tim Tebow They signed him to a 1-year deal to be a tight end. I guess I can get into another episode or whatever, but interested to see if Tebow even makes the team. What kind of, publicity will he get for this? I mean, he hasn't been in the league in 9 years. Back then, a lot of people wanted him to switch positions. He said he was a quarterback, but now, I guess after his MLB career fizzled out and he retired, I guess he's ready to be a tight end. So let's see if he makes the team. If he does, what kind of impact does he have? I guess interesting stuff to look out for there for off-season training camp as well as preseason. See what he looks like. Talked about Aaron Rodgers. So I thought his whole little hissy fit was because he wanted a wide receiver in the first round. Green Bay, I guess, heard that. And I guess when their pick came around, they went ahead and drafted Eric Stokes, a corner out of Georgia. So no wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers. I guess he can continue to cry about it, even though, as I was talking to somebody, Brady went all those years with Belichick not taking a first-round pick for a wide receiver. He made it work. Gronk was a second-round pick. Hernandez was like third round. They traded for Randy Moss. Edelman was a sixth-round pick or undrafted guy. So, yeah, but Brady just went on a win. They drafted Garoppolo as his replacement, third round. He just continued to play well, kept Garoppolo off the field. For Rodgers, they drafted Jordan Love, and he has not been able to let that go since then. But he is what he is. As I said, I could do a whole episode on Aaron Rodgers, give you all my thoughts on him. Maybe I'll do that later down the line. I don't know, but I'm not going to take up too much time on this episode about him. So let's keep it going. Let's go look at second round. Second round, we saw Patriots moved up, took Barmore, the defensive tackle out of Alabama. So once again, they doubled up on Alabama again. And Barmore, some thought he was going to be a first-round pick, and others thought that. And some of those people thought that was going to be high. I feel like taking him in the second round's fine. Because I remember, I think he won MVP of the national title game last year. So the talent is there. There's been some questions about, I guess, his motor and his commitment and all this kind of stuff. Now, I'm sure Belichick is the type to get that out of him. And if he shows that he's not, down for being a great football player, Belichick has no issue moving on from a second round pick. He doesn't care. So, but from all reports, Barmore dedicated to football, happy to be in New England. So we'll have to see what happens there. On that defense, he would be playing a big role as a run stuffer, and with the ability to get to the quarterback right up the middle, which is great for every defense. Who else? Asante Samuel Jr. go to the Chargers at 15. It's just crazy that, I watched, I guess, his dad play for New England years ago. What was that? I believe he was there for the 2 Giants Super Bowls, or maybe the first one. He was there for one of them, at least one of them. So, but now to see his son get drafted, just crazy to me. But like I said, going to the Chargers. Chargers need secondary help. They got a good corner. Hopefully that helps out them on the back end. And, with Herbert in that offense, maybe the Chargers are a team to watch in the AFC West. Of course, we're going to prohibitively put Kansas City as the division winner, possibly top seed in the AFC, but I think there's room there, at least in the bottom of the playoff picture, for the Chargers to make maybe a little quiet, sneaky move into the bottom of the playoff picture. But we'll see. I mean, I like what they're doing there. I like Herbert a lot. And they still have Keenan Allen, who I think is a top maybe 5 receiver in the league. So good things going there. Other big moves. Cleveland took Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, second round, number 52. I believe in my mock draft, I actually had the Browns taking him in the first round. So, got the team right. Wrong round, but kind of as a win in my book. So, Koramoah is a guy who I watched some YouTube videos on him. I mean, he is a guy that when the ball snapped and he diagnoses where that ball's going, I mean, he is like a laser-guided missile to the ball. He's a great hitter. When he hits you, you're going down. I think he's got the agility and the quickness to play a little bit in coverage, but where he'll make the most of his plays is probably like a delayed blitz up the middle on quarterbacks. Screen passes, he'll be there to blow it up, make a play on the ball, and maybe like quick passes over the middle, he'll be able to react quickly, pick some of those off. But like I said, he's a down in the box guy. The run gets stretched out, he can cut it off, taking the right angle, knock the running back down for a loss or at the line of scrimmage. His secondary is good. He's the guy who will, I guess, rack up coverage sacks. So, very, very versatile defender. Love that pick for Cleveland. I think he'll fit in perfectly there. He could be... I mean, they had Jamie Collins for like a year before he went back to New England. I think Koramoah could be the same mold. So, good pick for them. And in the second round, nonetheless. Kyle Trask was the first quarterback from that second group to be taken, and he was taken last pick in the second round by Tampa Bay, which I guess makes sense. Brady is 40. I don't even know anymore. What is he, like 48? Okay, he's probably not that old. He's probably like 46. I don't know. But I believe he's under contract for another couple of years. So in the meantime, Trask can sit behind Brady, really learn the NFL game, and then hopefully when Brady is ready to hang it up, they can have a seamless transition into Trask. I mean, Trask played with Pitts, so they had a pretty good year, I'd have to say. Ultimately, Florida didn't make the college football playoff. I believe they finished number 6, maybe. And we all know college football playoff is 4. So, back then I did say they deserved to be there because Trask had a good year. Pitts had a great year. The defense was pretty good. But ultimately they ended up, I think, in a New Year's Bowl. So, and Trask had a great year. Like I said, he's not mobile in any way. He's a pure pocket passer. But interested to see, I guess, in a couple of years what he looks like on Tampa Bay. I did like the pick. So, moving on, I guess to round 3. I don't know if there's any real picks that caught my eye in round 3, but we'll see. Kellen Mond, next quarterback in that second group. Went early in the third round, went to Minnesota. I think it's a good place for him. Kirk Cousins is there. He can learn a little bit from Kirk Cousins. And maybe he can challenge Kirk for the job there. You know, Kirk Cousins hasn't set the world on fire. He's been average, I guess. Kind of seems like Kirk Cousins is your typical, leads the team to 7-9, 8-8, maybe 9-7 if you're lucky. The ball bounces your way once or twice. And Minnesota has who's their coach? Zimmer, defensive guy. Defense is probably say average with potential to be above average. And I do think that they're probably dynamic quarterback play away from making some noise in the NFC playoffs. So hopefully, Mond maybe by the end of the year steps up, takes the job, and gives them a different dynamic as a guy who can scramble around. He can make plays with his feet, arm pretty strong. So that's good. Well to see. Can Cousins hold them off for this year, next year? We'll have to see. Well, ultimately, I think it's a good spot for Kellen Mond to go. Then the pick right after, the Texans take Davis Mills, quarterback out of Stanford. We all know they have the Deshaun Watson story to deal with. I think the majority of people understand that Watson's probably played his last game in Houston with all the legal issues and all that, which I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But good chance he ends up on the commissioner's exempt list to start the year. Maybe he spends the whole year there. I don't know. We'll have to see. If that's the case, they're going to need a quarterback. Davis Mills is a guy who probably did the most to benefit himself after college football season. I think his pro day really impressed a lot of people. And from that, he, I guess, shot up some draft boards a little bit. So, yeah. Like that pick there in the third round. Then some other guys. State of guys you've probably heard of. I mean, maybe the name of the draft. The Raiders took a guy in the third round named Divine Diablo. Which, I mean, just think about that. That's about all I know about him. I can't say that I've watched them play a lot of Virginia Tech, but the name caught my eye, so I guess we'll see if he contributes. We'll see what else. Oh, I guess for my Boston people, Dolphins took tight end Hunter Long from Boston College in the third round, so there was a local flair to that. I watched some BC games. Hunter Long, very good tight end. I mean, they already have Gesicki, Miami, who I think is a free agent following next year. So maybe this was a pick in minds of that. If those negotiations don't go well, at least they have Long there to fill in once he moves on. Green Bay in the third round gave Aaron Rodgers help. They drafted a wide receiver out of Clemson. Amari Rodgers, no relation, of course. But, hey, he got a wide receiver. Maybe his kicking and screaming will be dialed down just a little bit. Even though he's played with Devontae Adams, who I've said arguably the best wide receiver in the league. You want to tell me he's 2 or 3? I can listen to that. Got no problem. So if Amari Rodgers can fill in across the field from him, maybe Aaron Rodgers can learn to live in Green Bay. What else? After that, nothing really big names. Patriots took Ronnie Perkins, who I remember him at Oklahoma. I'm sure, Belichick will find a spot for him. When the pick was made, I was a little surprised. But like I said, he'll either push somebody who's currently on the roster, maybe to step their game up, or if one of them stumble, I feel like Perkins is a guy who could take over because he does bring, as an edge rusher, the ability to get to the quarterback. And that's basically the name of the game for defensive line, front seven these days. With these offenses, if you give them too much time, pretty much all of them are able to put up major points on you. So let's see what happens with Perkins. Just to backtrack, the Falcons took an offensive lineman, which I liked. Their offensive line could use some help. He was a tackle, so maybe he can, force Jake Matthews over to the right side, maybe. Or, maybe if he can't handle him being there, then maybe Falcons move on from Jake Matthews. I don't know. We'll see. But I like them going offensive line there. I might do it for the big names in the third round. At this point, fourth round is kind of the part of the draft where teams start kind of going off the rails. Maybe they go smaller schools, or someone takes a kicker, or probably a kicker. For the most part, punters really go very end of the draft or undrafted. But we'll have to see, because fourth round we had guys like Jabril Cox went to the Cowboys, linebacker at LSU, so the Cowboys doubled up, took Parsons first round, got Jabril Cox in the fourth round. What's there to say? He went to LSU, so clearly competition was there. His production was there. So I guess for the Cowboys, between Parsons and Jabril Cox, hopefully they'll find a superstar talent between one of them, and maybe the other one is your very good, middle of the field quarterback who can make plays. Maybe the two of them form a dynamic duo in a year or so here. So, like I said, we'll see. We will see. Other than that, the Panthers took a running back, Chuba Hubbard. Once again, if you watched college football like I did, you remember he's the Oklahoma State running back who early on in the season threatened to not play because, the coach, Mike Gundy, said something that I guess offended a lot of the teammates, and, he was very vocal about he didn't really want to play there. If he didn't declare for the draft, I think he was thinking about entering the transfer portal and all that, but he'd probably have to wait a year. So I think that pushed his decision to go pro. And he had a very productive college career. Now, being in Carolina, you already have McCaffrey there, and if Hubbard can be, maybe not just a third down back, because McCaffrey will play some series where he plays first, second, and third down. Maybe Hubbard's a guy who can be out there with McCaffrey, give defenses another element to think about. Maybe he, backs up McCaffrey and is McCaffrey's, reserve guy to give him a breather. And even though McCaffrey's dynamic on third down, maybe Hubbard is a guy who takes some of those third down snaps, because McCaffrey did get hurt this past year, and the last thing they'll need is for him to continue to get hurt, as for everybody watching him, he's very productive. So see what's going on there, because McCaffrey coming back from injury. They just got Sam Darnold from the Jets. Now they have Hubbard back there. They still have Robbie Anderson as the wide receiver. So I think Carolina's slowly getting there, building something to be excited about for the future there. And in that division, there's been some turnover. Saints, Drew Brees retired. So have to see what Winston can do. Will it be Winston and Taysom Hill? How does that dynamic work this year? And yeah, so Hubbard, like the pick there. After that, we got the Saints in the 4th round took Ian Book, quarterback out of Notre Dame. I kind of thought Book was going to go later than that, but the Saints, now you add him to the quarterback room with Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill. Or is it Taysom Hill? I keep calling him Taysom. It's Taysom Hill, sorry. And ultimately, he won't see the field this year unless the two of those guys get hurt. I don't know if he's their quarterback in the future, but he's a guy that they're going to bring in. If he could maybe outplay Taysom Hill, then maybe he just becomes Winston's backup. Taysom Hill goes more into the, roulette wheel role, where depending on the game, you could see him backfield, you could see him wide receiver, you could see him slot receiver, you could just see him all over the field. And that's the big thing in today's NFL. Position versatility is key. So, of course, I'm going to take some Hill, not Ian Book. But, yeah. And ultimately, once you get into the 5th round stuff, not really expecting much from guys in the 5th, 6th, 7th round. They're more special teams type guys, or filling out a depth chart, that kind of stuff. And pretty much see that with every pick here. It's guys that probably, bring a certain skill set that teams will look to exploit and put into their game plan. Shawn Wade went 16th in that round, 160 overall to Baltimore. Shawn Wade was a guy who, I think if you checked for him, I think not this past year, but the year before that, he was probably top 10, top 15. It's probably that high as a prospect. Kind of fizzled out later into his Ohio State career. I think he dealt with an injury or so. So because of that, slips to the 5th round. Baltimore, probably the best place for him to go, with Baltimore being, I guess you could say, defensive centric. A lot of their coaching staff is kind of defensive minded. Offensively, they rely on Lamar Jackson's ability to move around the pocket, to run past guys with his legs. Maybe Shawn Wade. Yeah, Shawn Wade. maybe he fortifies the secondary for them, and maybe they're able to get over that hump in the playoffs. Once again, as a 5th round pick, he's not going to be going into Baltimore with a lot of expectations, but if he can recapture his early form at Ohio State, could be a steal for them. No real big names in the 5th round. 6th round's probably going to be even less big names, so maybe this is just a good spot to wrap this up. Yeah, I think so. 6th, 7th round. Nothing too important there. Although, 7th round, Belichick finally took a wide receiver. They took a guy out of UCF. Trey Nixon, that's his name. And I believe he was there for those UFC years a couple of years ago where they were really good. I think they were like a top 15 team in the country. Offense is pretty much unstoppable. So maybe he's a guy who could shake up the wide receiver depth chart. We all know N'Keal Harry has struggled there past few years. Maybe Nixon's presence pushes Harry to be better. Or if Harry sees Nixon's ability and maybe crumbles from it, then at that point he will be a legit bust. And it's tough to see because he was a 1st round pick. When the Patriots made the pick, I did like the pick. So it would be tough to see him move on without really being able to contribute on a regular basis. But yeah. The rest of these picks in the 6th and 7th round, I mean, we don't have to go into all that. So yeah, I guess just to wrap it up, 1st round, crazy unpredictable. Most of the draft was, if you watch the draft on TV, the atmosphere in Cleveland was phenomenal. The team-specific fan bases, wherever they were located, out on the floor or whatever, each one of them was into it. They were rowdy. Some were booing, as some of the team representatives went up there to announce picks. I know it was that Jacoby Jones went up there for Baltimore. The Cleveland fans booed him. I thought it was a great moment. The annual boo of Roger Goodell to start the draft off. Love that. I didn't really pick up on the whole gimmick with his couch being on stage. I think they could have done without that, but all in all, I thought the draft coverage was great. Can't remember where the draft is next year. I want to say it's Vegas because Vegas was supposed to have it last year, but missed out with the whole virtual one. So I think they're getting it next year as a makeup. So we'll have to see. I'm sure Vegas will be another great crowd. But yeah, hopefully you liked who your team drafted. If not, maybe they'll unexpectedly do better than you thought. I guess that's the most positive I could give you at that point. Like I said, wrapping up the draft here. Still have some NFL topics to talk about because I will talk about schedule release after Wednesday. Still want to talk about these retired players and who maybe has a shot at Canton and who doesn't. But we can do that closer to probably the start of the season. Any big stories come out of training camp and all that, definitely talk about that on here. But with that, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you liked this episode. If you did, hit the like button. Subscribe so that way you can find out whenever I do upload. You can go back and check out some other episodes before this one. And yeah, hopefully you guys, if you're on Twitter, if you're active on Twitter, just follow the show there to be interactive. as I say, episode after episode, want to be interacting with you guys. And right now, I feel like the best way is on Twitter until we go video, of course, and then we could do live chat or whatever. But that's neither here nor there. So, but hope you're having a good day whenever you are listening to this. And yeah, I already set you guys up for the rest of the week and into next week. But yeah, so thanks again. God bless. Be safe, of course. Definitely have to say that. And I will catch you in the next episode. All right.